Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through this material today because, let's be real, we are tackling something literally all of us struggle with on a daily basis: modern mental exhaustion. You know the feeling, right? Our minds are just constantly racing, buzzing with worries, to-do lists, and anxieties. But what if the solution to this very modern problem actually lies in some incredibly ancient wisdom? Today, we're going to explore two very distinct, profound spiritual sources. We've got a classic Zen parable on one hand and foundational Islamic teachings on the other. And we're looking at how they systematically dismantle this exhausting habit of overthinking. We'll be extracting practical, completely actionable lessons to help you find some absolute peace in what is, let's face it, a deeply restless world.
Okay, let's dive into this. How do we actually stop overthinking everything? Chances are you have felt the heavy burden of a cluttered mind. It's that awful feeling when your thoughts absolutely refuse to hit the pause button. You're dwelling on problems on an endless loop, you're overanalyzing totally normal everyday conversations, and you're just dreading what's coming next. Both the Zen and Islamic texts we're unpacking today hit the nail on the head when describing this specific pain point. They both acknowledge that a restless mind doesn't just make you tired, right? It literally steals your peace, your focus, and your joy.
So, let's start with Section 1, the restless mind. Now, before we can fix the problem, we really need to clearly define it. And this brilliantly illustrates that overthinking isn't just, being a thoughtful person. It is an exhausting, relentless cycle that leads to severe mental fatigue and anxiety. Basically, we trap ourselves in this illusion of control, surrounded by the chaotic noise of dwelling on the past and fearing the future. But the reality, which is completely shared by both of our traditions today, is that we only ever control the present moment. Overthinking happens when we're projecting all our precious energy into time zones we literally cannot change or predict, while completely ignoring the reality of right now.
And that brings us right to Section 2, the power of now.
To actually shift this mindset, our first source gives us the story of a young man named Hiro. Now, Hiro has an incredibly restless mind. He's constantly analyzing, constantly worrying. So desperate for a cure, he goes on this arduous journey to seek the wisdom of a renowned Zen master. But when he finally gets there, the master doesn't sit him down for a long lecture. Instead, he assigns him a seemingly impossible physical task. He hands Hiro a ladle and gives him 3 steps. Scoop water from a massive, full stone basin, pour it into a tiny bowl, and transfer all of that water without spilling a single drop. Well, for hours, Hiro is just diligently scooping and pouring, and his frustration is just boiling over, fueled entirely by his restless, outcome-obsessed mind.
Then, the master makes this profound intervention. Now, what's really interesting here is he just places a hand on Hiro's shoulder and delivers this incredible piece of advice. He says, to empty the basin, you must first empty your mind. Basically, he's telling Hiro to let go of his worries, let go of his fear of failing, and drop this obsession with the final outcome. He tells him to focus entirely on the present sensation, like the actual sound of the water and the feel of the ladle in his hand. And you know what? When Hiro finally does this, he stops overthinking and enters a complete state of flow. His movements become totally effortless, and miraculously, the task just completes itself.
Now, this Zen breakthrough perfectly mirrors our second source, which breaks down the Islamic view of time. Islamic teachings actually urge believers to be the son of your day, meaning the child of your present moment. Think about it. The past is totally gone. You cannot change it, so don't let negative thoughts trap you in guilt or shame. The future, it hasn't even arrived yet. It's completely unseen. But the present is literally the only moment you truly have any power over. So just like Hiro had to focus on the exact scoop of water right in front of him, we have to stop carrying the heavy weight of yesterday or the dark shadow of tomorrow into our today.
Moving right along into Section 3, the antidote of gratitude.
So the crucial point is, once you've anchored yourself in the present, how do you stop your mind from wandering right back into that anxiety? Well, our sources provide a highly effective, active tool for this, and that is conscious gratitude. See, we overthink because we are constantly focused on what's missing. We're busy comparing ourselves to someone's social media highlight reel, fancy job titles, and immense wealth. We essentially convince ourselves that our lives are just too small. But the Islamic source tells us to immediately shift that focus to what is already there. By saying Alhamdulillah, which means praise and gratitude be to God, for the absolute basics, we completely flip our perspective. Sincere gratitude literally leaves zero room in your mind for doubt or fear.
To really cement this, the Islamic text shares a staggering quote from the Prophet Muhammad. Just read this with me for a second. Whoever wakes up feeling safe, healthy, and has food for the day, it is as if the whole world has been given to him. I mean, really think about that for a second.
If you woke up today in a safe environment with a functioning body that can breathe and walk, and you have something to eat, you are literally living like a king of the past. Those modern societal standards of success are just an illusion that fuels our overthinking. Recognizing the immense wealth of your basic, everyday reality, that is the absolute cure.
Let's look at Section 4, the art of surrender. Remember Hiro from our Zen story? He achieved that state of flow by stopping his attempt to force the outcome. Essentially, he surrendered. Well, this powerful concept is explored really deeply in the Islamic framework as a direct countermeasure to mental chaos. The text defines this concept as tawakkul. Tawakkul is placing complete and, importantly, active trust in the divine. And I really want to highlight the word active here. We're not talking about passive resignation. It means you take all the necessary means. You study for the test, you apply for the job, you strive with your absolute best effort. But then, you entirely release the burden of controlling that final outcome. You surrender the unseen to the one who actually manages the universe. Basically, you do your part and you just let go of the rest.
And building directly on tawakkul is the concept of al-qadr, or the divine decree. This is the framework stating that everything that happens, whether we perceive it as good or seemingly bad, occurs by a perfect overarching wisdom, knowledge, and will. Understanding this specific framework completely transforms hardship. It removes that terrifying fear of the unknown and absolutely kills the habit of overthinking, mostly because it assures you that your life is not just some series of random, chaotic accidents.
Just take a moment to really, truly absorb the immense relief this next teaching offers to an anxious mind. What has missed you was never meant to hit you, and what has hit you was never meant to miss you. Wow. If you didn't get that job, it was just never yours to begin with. If a hardship arrived at your door, you couldn't have outrun it anyway. When you internalize this deeply, you can finally stop constantly looking over your shoulder. You can literally just let your mind rest.
And this brings us to a really stark contrast in mindsets. First, we have the incredibly dangerous if only mindset. You know the one, if only I'd spoken up, if only I'd taken that other job. The Islamic source strictly warns against using the word if, noting that it just kicks open the door to negative thoughts, regret, and self-loathing. It tricks you into thinking you were somehow in control of the universe. The antidote here is the it was decreed mindset. When you're faced with an unexpected hurdle, choosing to accept the decree acts as an immediate shield against that spiral of mental chaos.
Let's move to Section 5, trusting the unknown, and see how this all builds.
To really tie all of these concepts together, from the Zen focus on the present to the Islamic concepts of gratitude and surrender, I want you to imagine something with me right now. Imagine you are stepping into a cold, dark, entirely unfamiliar cave. It is pitch black. You have no idea what the terrain is like. This cave represents life's unexpected problems, right? It's that terrifying unknown of the future that causes us to overthink in the first place.
So as you walk in, a rock suddenly falls from the ceiling. A bat swoops right past your face. Your heart begins to race. This is that totally natural panic and anxiety we all feel when things go wrong. It's when our finances take a hit, when our relationships hurt, or when we face a highly difficult diagnosis. The instinct is to just panic and let the mind race in 100 different directions.
But here is the absolutely crucial detail in our little visualization. You are not alone in this cave. You're actually walking with a calm, highly experienced guide who has safely navigated these exact tunnels for 25 years. In our source material, this guide represents the ultimate, all-knowing guidance of the divine.
The guide looks at your racing heart and says, "Don't worry, this is normal. Just stay close and follow me." And this is the core metaphor for us to take away today. Just like you would never wander off all alone in a dark, dangerous cave, relying solely on your own panic thoughts, you shouldn't rely solely on your own overthinking when you're navigating life's actual hardships. You have to trust the guide.
So, we end up with this final, highly practical toolkit. Instead of spending hours just going back and forth in your head, take action. Number 1, raise your hands and turn to the guide. Number 2, ask for clarity, ask for relief, ask for guidance. In the Islamic tradition, this is known as dua or supplication. Number 3, spend that mental energy thanking him for how far you've already safely traveled. And finally, number 4, surrender the matter entirely. By replacing those endless mental loops with a direct spiritual connection and sincere gratitude, there is quite simply nothing left to overthink.
I want to leave you with this final, lingering thought. If you truly, deeply believe that your story was being written with perfect wisdom, what would you stop worrying about today? Think about it.
Take these ancient lessons, the intense focus of the Zen master, the profound gratitude and surrender of the Islamic teachings, and start applying them to your modern anxieties. Empty your mind, look closely at what you actually have, and trust the guide. Thank you so much for exploring this with me today, and I really challenge you to carry this piece with you into the rest of your day.